Hi guys, today I thought I'd show you how to do a Skinner Blend Mica Shift section pendant, for want of a better description. I'm never very good at knowing what to call these things, but anyhow, you're going to need some clay to make a mica shift, so you're going to need metallic clays, and I have got antique gold and silver. So that's what's going to be the mica shift, but first of all I'm going to turn it into a Skinner blend. So I've just rolled them out into little like teardrop shapes, put one facing down and one facing the other way, so basically they're going in opposite directions. So there's that. I've also got some black clay and I've also got some clay for a backing. You will also need some liquid Sculpey, a large cutter and a small cutter, and a stamp that's going to make a fairly deep impression into your clay. So I'm just going to be using this one, this little plastic one, but I know it goes fairly deep into the clay, makes a really good impression. You'll also need a rigid blade and a flexible blade. So like I said, I've got these rolled out into little teardrops and I've just put them together, and I'm just going to give them a quick roll so they stick together. Okay, and I'm going to pass these through the pasta machine until they're nicely blended. So I'm just going to fold colour to colour and pass through the pasta machine this way, fold again, pass through this way until you've got a nice blend. And also, because it's a mica shift, you're going to probably need to do about 15 to 20 passes through the pasta machine. So when I've done that, I'll be back. Okay, so I've got my Skinner blend ready and it's a nice blend. And the next thing we need to do is take our stamp. I'm just going to make sure it fits. And I'm just going to try and get the stamp so it's incorporating the silver, the blend and the gold all together. So somewhere roughly in the centre. Okay. And then you're just going to need to press down as hard as you can, because you really need to get a nice deep impression. Like I said, you can use any kind of stamp you want, it doesn't have to be the same one I'm using. And when you're happy, just lift it up and you can see there's a fairly nice impression there. So now you're going to take your flexible blade and start to shave the top layer of this stamp very, very slowly, very gently, very carefully. Just remove that top layer. So you're still going to have your pattern left underneath. If you go too deep, you'll just gouge away the pattern, so it is a case of being very careful with it. Just keep doing that until the whole piece is shaved away. So you're just removing the raised areas really. So I tried to do a tutorial yesterday, and it wasn't this one, it was for something else I had in mind. And I don't know what was wrong with me, but I recorded it three times. The tutorial itself was okay, but my final product was not. I could be being too hard on myself, I guess, but it was so frustrating recording 3 times and scrapping each time. So I thought, let's forget that one and try something different. So this is what I'm doing instead. It's been a bit of a crappy week, to be honest. I've had a bit of a health scare, and I've got to go for a scan tomorrow. So if you could just all keep me in your thoughts and prayers, I'd appreciate it, but I'm sure I'm going to be okay. Okay, so when you're happy with how much you've shaved off, there is still going to be a little bit of a raised area. So just take some card and give it a really good burnish. Now bear in mind you rolled this out on the thickest setting on your pasta machine, but now you've shaved some of it away, it's not going to be the thickest setting anymore. So you need to make sure that this piece of clay and your black clay are rolled out to the same thickness. So once I've done this, I'll roll it down to a number 2, and then I'll also roll my black clay down to a number 2. That way I know they're the same thickness. So when you've done that, let's just check. I'm just going to remove that little bit here because I'm not happy that I shaved deep enough on this little bit here. Oops. And here. And then just give it another quick burnish. So I'm going to take this down to a number 2, and then I'm going to take my black down to a number 2 and see if they match. I might have to take it down to a number 3, we'll see. So I'm just going to carefully lift this and roll it through onto a number 2. And then the black. I think that's going to be okay. Right, so when you've done that, actually guys, I am going to roll it to number 3, and I'm going to roll it this way this time, just to make sure it's completely smooth. So there we go, number 3 and the black number 3. Right. So I'm just going to get rid of the excess because we don't need all of this. We just need the stamped part, obviously. Just make sure this is going to fit. Yeah, that's going to incorporate that stamp really nicely. But what I'm going to do is cut it in half. So where you can see this little flower, I'm going to cut it in half. So now we've got 2 pieces, like so. Now you need very, very straight edges for this. So I'm just going to make sure it's really straight. Lift it. And place it on my backing clay, which is just a mix of scrap that I had left over. And just place it on this backing clay. Then I'm going to take the black and same thing, cut a very straight slice like so, and place it. I'm not going to press this down just yet, I just want to make sure that this is going to incorporate everything I need. Yep, that's fine. I think this needs straightening up a little bit. That's the problem, it tends to like get a bit distorted when you try and lift it again. So place it on your backing clay, get your black strip and butt it up to that first piece like so. Try and get it as close to each other as you possibly can, and then take your last piece and butt it up there. Okay. Now we need to burnish this. Make sure all the pieces are nicely stuck together and perfectly smooth. And just keep doing that until you can't feel any kind of ridge or anything. So some of you may know that I opened a Facebook group, a Polymer Clay Facebook group, and I did have a group before, earlier on this year, and it reached 3,000 members, and to be honest with you, it just got too much. The group became too big. So I actually did close that one down, but I've decided to reopen a new one, but I'm just going to limit the numbers, but you're more than welcome to join. It's called Clay Boutiques Polymer Clay Community, and I'll leave a link. But I'd love to see you there, guys, if you'd like to join. But just bear in mind, I'm only going to take it to a certain amount of members. Currently I'm at 100 members. So we'll see how it goes, but if you'd like to join, I'd be happy to see you. Okay, so let's see. Just a little more. I just don't want any ridges there at all. I just want it to be perfectly smooth. Almost. There we go. Alright, so there we go. That's what it looks like. We just need to cut it into a pendant now. I'm just going to get rid of some of this excess. We can use that for scrap, of which I collect way too much scrap. You probably know all about that. Alright, so I'm just going to take my my clay and my cutter, and I'm just going to line it up. So I'm incorporating most of that lovely flower that I stamped like this. And I'm just going to flip it over and start to gently push down, because I want this to have a dome. I don't want it to go too deep. I just want a nice gentle dome like this. And I'm just going to add a touch of liquid clay. I always think this is open and it's not. I always forget to unscrew it at the top. I only want a little bit of this. This is just to help stick the clay together. And my cat's down here again. I don't know what she's doing. She's making a noise, doing something. Tipsy! Trying to stop her making that noise. Alright, so I've done that, and like I say, you can push this down as deep as you want, but I just want a slight curve. I don't want it too deep. Right. And then I'm just going to take this black, get rid of some of it, it's too much. I'm just going to place this black over the top like this. Just give it a little stretch, not too much, just a gentle, and then flip it over. And then I'm going to take my smaller cutter and I'm going to place it roughly in the center of this. But you can put the hole wherever you want to. I just like it in the middle there, rough, not completely in the middle, but close to the middle. And then just push down on the big cutter afterwards. Like so, give it a little wiggle and lift up. And then remove this. And then I need to find my blade just to quickly pick out the centre. And there we have it. Just make sure it's nice and smooth, get any rough edges off. Lift it up. Very careful. Just remove any nasty bits. I probably will resin the back because that doesn't look that great. When you're working on a tile, or when I work on this tile anyway, it tends to leave like little marks in the back, but I'm going to resin the back anyway, so I'm not too worried. But there you go. So even though I'm going to resin the back, I am going to sand and buff this to a sheen because I just think mica shift looks amazing that way. So once this is baked, I'll be back. Okay guys, so this has been baked and I have already sanded this with grits of 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000, and I'm just going to quickly show you the final stage of sanding so you can see how I actually do it in terms of how I move it around the piece. And this is the final grit of 3000. So I've just got some water here and the pendant. I'm just going to drop that in there, drop the paper in there, and just do this. And I go in circular motions over the whole piece, but then when I get to the edges I kind of do it like this, and that really gives it a nice smooth look. And then just turn it and do the same thing. And good news, I didn't need to resin the back because once I sanded it, it's actually fine, so I'm not going to resin it after all. So I just keep going in circular motions over the piece like this. And you don't need to do it for too long through each grit. And that's all you need to do, and then just quickly do the back as well. And that's that. So this has been sanded all through the grits now, and it's just a case of drying this off, adding some Renaissance wax and giving it a good old buff. So I'm just going to dry this off quickly. Just make sure it's thoroughly dry before you add the Renaissance wax. Okay, so I'm just going to take my Renaissance wax, dip my finger in there. You don't need too much, like so, and just rub it all over the piece. I'm not going to do the back, just the front and the sides. And then you need to let this sit for a few minutes to dry, otherwise you'll just end up rubbing it back off. So you do really need to let it sit there and thoroughly dry for a few minutes. So I'm just going to let that sit for a while, and when it's dry I'll come back and I'll buff it. Okay, so this is nicely dried, so I'm just going to give it a quick buff on my little buffing wheel, which you can get from Hob Freight in the States. I don't know whereabouts in England, but I guess if you like Googled it or looked on Amazon, you might be able to find something different, something similar. So I'm just going to give this a quick buff. So ready for the noise. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to go over the front first, just go in nice circular motions like this and round, turn it, do the same thing, make sure you've got all areas. And then just the edges go, whoop. Just keep it between your fingers and turn it so those edges get a nice shine as well. Just one more time, just to be safe. And there we go. So there's the finished piece, guys. I've not decided how I'm going to string it yet, but you will see that in the thumbnail. So there we go, guys. Beautiful shiny piece. And that's all there is for today. So I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you later. Bye.